Welcome back to Twin City Tidbits. In this episode, we are going to be talking about bearing maintenance. We've also teamed up with our awesome partners at Dodge to provide tech tips throughout the video. We will be going over split housing versus unitary housing and the best practices to use in maintaining your bearings. Let's head over to our training room and meet up with our field service technician, Anthony.
Hey there, Anthony Landberg, Twin City Fan Company's Field Service Department. Today we're going to be talking about bearings. It's a very important part of your fan. It's where the rotating assembly meets the rigid mounting. It's where all the action happens. And we got to take care of these bearings because if you don't take care of them, you could have a failure in your fan. I'd also like to take this time to thank our partners at Dodge for supplying us with some bearings to work on, as well as the technical tips that we're going to be going over. The first thing we want to take a look at with our bearings is what type of bearing do you have? The two main styles that we use on our fans are the unitary housing as well as the split housing. Two different styles, two different types of maintenance. We're going to go through those today. The unitary housing, as you can imagine, it's one-piece construction for the housing. The bearing sits inside. Or the split block housing. The cap comes off. The bearing is inside as usual. But you can actually see down in here now. You can see all the working parts once the cap is off. The two main predators, the two things we want to avoid with bearings are heat and vibration. Too hot and the lubrication can break down. Too much vibration, pieces are going to grind and shake together. A good way to check the health, get yourself a little temp sensor. See how hot that bearing is running. If it gets too hot, the lubrication can break down and not function anymore. Also, vibrations. What are the vibration levels of your bearing? What is it experiencing? Any kind of shaking, any kind of grinding, it's not good for the bearing. So when reporting on your issues, let us know your vibration levels. Let us know the temperature of your bearings. Take a look at this picture. That heat broke down the bearing, the lubrication, and the paint. Lubricating a unitary bearing, pretty straightforward. We're going to use our grease gun, lithium-based grease, and on a unitary bearing, you just need to slowly add the lubricant while rotating the bearing until you can see movements of the old lubricant coming out. So the grease gun goes right on the Zerk fitting, and we're slowly going to add grease while rotating the bearing. And we should see movement. And this is a good little health check. This lubricant is broken down, it's miscolored, and it smells a little funny. So if this was a bearing in the field, I would want to step up its lubrication routine. Now, for our split housing bearing, the main difference is that you can put in too much lubrication. The housing itself has a little reservoir that you want to fill up with lubrication and not go over that. Too much lubrication and your bearing is fighting against that, creating higher temperatures, more friction, more work. When you do your regular maintenance, you'll add a predetermined amount of lubrication depending on the size and the speed of your bearing. If you go too much, you'll have to remove that cap and scoop some out. It doesn't hurt when you're lubricating to remove that cap and see how everything's looking. The split housing bearing is useful in that you can remove the cap to see how everything's looking, the lubrication levels, the quality of your lubricant. Seeing how everything's looking, that's your health check on the split housing bearing, is to remove the cap. All of our bearings come from the factory loaded with lithium-based lubricant. Please avoid cross-linking or contaminating with a different type of lubricant. Stay with the lithium-based. If you need to switch, go ahead and purge out the old stuff before putting in the new. Thanks again for stopping by, checking out our Twin City Tidbits with the bearing maintenance. Thanks again to Dodge for sending us some samples and the technical advice. Make sure to check out our IOMs, the installation and owner's manual. A lot of great information in here. Contact us at fieldservice@tcf.com. And thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Twin City Tidbits, and thanks again to Dodge for providing those excellent tips. Catch you next time.